So today was a pretty range-bound day on SPY up until about the last hour, and I figured I would do results in this form rather than what I regularly do, just because I feel like I've gotten a lot of recommendations saying, "Hey, can you talk a little bit more about your intraday strategy?" Which I'm more than happy to do. So I'm gonna go briefly through each of the five plays for today and explain sort of how you could have played this and stayed out of trouble even while there was chop. So first off on SPY, here's the opening 5 minute candle. I stay on the 5 minute chart, and I don't go into the 1 minute because it can lead to overthinking, at least in my opinion. So I'm immediately noticing within the first 15, 20 minutes, I'm noticing that there's a lot of wicks, and I'm going to stay away from probably chasing any sort of breakout because I see that SPY's struggling to just make up its mind to begin with. So, what I'm thinking here is, okay, we've gone down, come up, gone up, come down, and we're kind of back in the middle here after about 15 minutes. So, um, I immediately told myself this is possibly going to be a range bound day that might not have any follow through to any certain direction. So in my head, I said, okay, I'll look to take puts off the call trigger, and I'll look to take calls off the put trigger. And what I mean by that is a perfect example here by Facebook. So you see at the open right here, Facebook actually comes down and tests this put trigger really quickly. And if you would have taken calls, boom, you would have gotten this 7 point move in about 15 minutes. And I know people got up to 200 and something percent on this, which is just incredible. Additionally, if you play just the typical call trigger breakout, this isn't that far above the trigger. If you took calls here, you got a nice little move. Boom. Okay, you could have scaled there. Could have also scaled there again. And then additionally, you could have scalped off of VWAP several times. Here to here, here to here. It was right there for us. And then uh, even still, under VWAP, you could have noticed the breakdown below the call trigger again and taken puts. You could have noticed the retest here, confirmation below, and then taken puts again. Boom. There was plenty of opportunity here in Facebook within the first hour. Next move. This one was pretty tough today just because of how choppy it was. Um, this blue line is the put trigger. This is the call trigger. And remember, the yellow lines are profit levels that I will have put on either before or during the day. And the white line is VWAP. So here I had several people that made good amounts of money on this, just really scalping, taking puts here, just rejections. Instead of calling breakouts, just take it, the plays that put it back into the range, take those. So several opportunities here. Granted, this was a really tough one. You could have even gone up and seen this VWAP breakdown or VWAP test, and then failure. Could have scalped that. This was a tougher play today. I totally acknowledge that. But there was plenty of opportunity just with scalps, even off of this one key level. Nvidia, this one really didn't get good until the very end of the day. However, similar to Facebook, but inversely, immediately just ran up to the call trigger, boom, rejected it. And I knew some people who took puts off of that level, and you see breaks under VWAP, goes and tests it again, and a very, very nice print down here, basically to the put trigger. And before it started bouncing, the rejected VWAP here, and then when it actually does confirm under the put trigger, starts to flush more. So great. We could have taken here. Could have. I wouldn't have recommended taking here because it was showing a lot of chop, a lot of wicks. It could have been a dangerous play there, but this was the best play by far on Nvidia today. Baba. This one is very similar to the Facebook play. Comes down here, morning flush. Gets very, very close to that put trigger, take the calls, runs up here, and then you see it technically confirms and drops back down below VWAP. And so what I'm seeing here is, I wouldn't have looked to enter a position on this because I say, whoa, okay, sure, unless I'm getting this, then I would have obviously ridden it out. But I'm seeing these crazy wicks, and it's just far too much for me to be comfortable within the position. So I'm waiting for it to actually show some sort of trend. And you see, I drew this trend line intraday just to see if I could, piece together what I thought was maybe going to come next. There were many opportunities to add on VWAP. There was again, several scalping opportunities off of this uptrend that was forming. Even if you did take calls over the call level, you could have still made great money. This was just a very, very choppy play at open, and made it a little bit difficult. And unfortunately, Riot was just a little too crazy today. It just, within the first 2 minutes, it was pretty much already down here. So you were either chasing or you got in right at open, and it was difficult because, where's that balance between, am I chasing, right? Well, think about it. Okay, if I'm buying down here, then how much would I be down if I do get a retest? Well, if you buy puts here and it retests here, you're going to be down a fair amount of money. So you got to be, I mean, that's one where I wouldn't really chase, but if you were very convicted, sure, go ahead. You would have made a good amount of money. So, again, I hope this is helpful. This is just an overview of what I'm looking for. I'm always going back and forth between my watch list plays and SPY, and I'm always seeing, okay, what's relatively weak, what's relatively strong. If something is going up while SPY is going down, that's relative strength. Okay, I'll look to go long on a play like that. If SPY is going up and Facebook is going down, then I'll say, okay, Facebook is relatively weak. So the thought process there is, I want to wait for Facebook to go up and test a resistance, and then when Facebook, continues to try to test it and break it, and it doesn't when SPY is going up, then I am acknowledging in my head that any sort of red on SPY will immediately send Facebook falling because it can't even break out like SPY is. So looking for relative strength and relative weakness plays is another really good way to be safe in a day like today where it's fairly range bound. Thank you for tuning in.